Genoa City erupts with shocking twists as Phyllis faces arrest over Victor's alleged evidence while Matt Clark awakens confused and suffering from memory loss. Billy blindsides Victoria with life-changing baby news, just as Jack and Kyle secretly plot to use Patty against Victor. Meanwhile, Michael prepares a fierce legal counterattack that could shake the Newman empire. Victor's anger reaches a breaking point, leading him to cut ties with Michael entirely. With betrayals, emotional fallout, and dangerous schemes unfolding everywhere, the next 2 weeks on The Young and the Restless promise non-stop drama and unexpected power moves. Welcome to A Mysterious Time TV, where the drama unfolds and the stories captivate. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of Young and the Restless, uncovering untold stories and hidden truths behind the headlines. Phyllis arrested as Matt Clark wakes up with no memory in explosive Y&RRecap. Tuesday's episode of The Young and the Restless delivered emotional confrontations, shocking revelations, and a major twist involving Matt Clark. While Phyllis found herself under arrest because of Victor's questionable evidence, Matt resurfaced alive in Las Vegas with absolutely no memory of who he is. Meanwhile, Nikki and Victor's marriage continued falling apart as Nick finally confessed his addiction struggles to his mother. Nick opens up to Nikki about his addiction. At Society, Nikki met with Nick for lunch after moving out of the Newman ranch. The conversation quickly turned emotional as Nikki admitted that her latest fight with Victor felt different from all the others. Although Nick tried reassuring her that she and Victor always managed to work things out, Nikki confessed she wasn't certain reconciliation was possible this time. Their attention then shifted to Matt Clark and the mystery surrounding his supposed death. Nick explained that Sienna claimed she had killed Matt, but investigators still lacked solid answers. Nikki admitted she understood why Nick remained skeptical, especially since Matt had seemingly died before only to reappear later alive. As they talked, Nikki mentioned that Nick had seemed troubled even before traveling to Las Vegas. That observation pushed Nick to finally tell the truth he had been hiding. Struggling emotionally, he confessed that after his accident, the physical pain became unbearable. When doctors stopped refilling his prescriptions, he turned to illegal opioids and became addicted while in Vegas. Nick revealed that Adam noticed his condition and that Matt eventually manipulated him by exploiting the addiction. Nikki was devastated that her son had suffered alone and blamed herself for failing to recognize the warning signs earlier. Nick assured her he was already receiving help through an outpatient recovery program that Sharon arranged. Nikki related deeply to his struggle because her own addiction had begun in a similar way years earlier. She urged Nick to remain honest moving forward and reminded him that recovery would include setbacks, but he should never face them alone. The emotional moment strengthened their bond, with Nikki promising unconditional support as Nick vowed to overcome his addiction. Nikki questions whether she can ever forgive Victor. After discussing Nick's recovery, the conversation shifted back to Victor. Nick wondered if Jack Abbott was the true reason Nikki had left the ranch. Nikki acknowledged that Victor's obsession with Jack had spiraled out of control. She explained that Victor's recent actions felt darker than ever before, especially after learning about Jack's kidnapping and the yacht situation involving Patty. Nikki believed Victor no longer cared who got hurt as long as he achieved his goals. Nick tried defending his father by suggesting Victor's actions were tied to losing control of Chancellor Winters and his sense of identity. He encouraged Nikki to forgive him eventually. Although Nikki admitted she still loved Victor deeply, she confessed she didn't know if she would ever truly be ready to forgive him for everything he had done. Sharon pushes Sienna to reconsider Matt's death. At Sharon's house, Noah brought Sienna back after she fled earlier questioning. Sienna apologized for panicking, while Sharon admitted she may have pushed too hard during the interrogation. Encouraged by Noah, Sienna began explaining what happened in the desert after Matt triggered the explosion. According to her, Matt told everyone they were going to die before she escaped from the vehicle and ran through the desert. Sienna recalled that Matt chased her on foot and eventually caught up to her. During the violent struggle, Matt allegedly began choking her. Desperate to survive, she grabbed a rock and struck him in the head multiple times. She remembered checking his pulse afterward and believing he was dead. Noah immediately assumed that confirmed Matt's death once and for all. However, Sharon remained cautious. She asked detailed questions about how much time passed before Sienna checked Matt's pulse and whether she could have mistaken a weak heartbeat for no pulse at all. Sharon's doubts slowly began affecting Sienna's confidence. When Sharon asked where the confrontation happened, Sienna struggled to remember specifics. Her memories remained fragmented, though she vaguely recalled a nearby water park. Eventually, Sienna admitted the possibility that Matt might still be alive. She realized her desperate wish for him to be dead may have convinced her of something that wasn't completely certain. Fear quickly spread through the room as Sienna worried Matt could return for revenge. Sharon warned that if Matt survived, every one of them could be in danger. Noah then promised he would protect Sienna and the rest of the family from Matt no matter what happened next. Matt Clark reappears alive, but with no idea who he is. In one of the episode's biggest twists, Matt Clark appeared alone at a roadside diner in Las Vegas. Nursing a head injury with an ice pack, he looked disoriented and deeply confused. While searching through his pockets, Matt discovered a keycard for the Genoa City Athletic Club along with loose cash and gum. A waitress noticed his confusion and casually asked if he had lost something. When Matt showed her the keycard and asked how far away the club was, she informed him it was roughly 2,000 miles away. Matt then shockingly asked where he currently was. The waitress jokingly assumed he was recovering from a hangover or hiding from his wife, but Matt's confusion was genuine. She finally informed him he was still in Las Vegas. The revelation clearly startled him. Matt appeared unable to remember how he got there or even who he was. After finishing his coffee, he left determined to uncover the truth about his identity and what happened to him. The apparent amnesia twist dramatically changed the direction of the storyline and raised even more questions about Matt's future. Christine arrests Phyllis. Back in Genoa City, Phyllis faced a nightmare situation at Summer's conglomerate. Christine arrived at her office accompanied by a police officer after reviewing the evidence connected to the corporate theft case. Phyllis initially believed Christine was simply trying to intimidate her, but Christine calmly informed her she was under arrest. The officer then began reading Phyllis her rights. Furious, Phyllis insisted Victor's evidence was completely fabricated and warned Christine she would eventually regret trusting it. Christine, however, maintained that the evidence justified criminal charges and insisted Phyllis had to face consequences. The confrontation intensified as Phyllis accused Christine of pursuing the case out of personal history and revenge. Christine denied making it personal and even offered the possibility of discussing a plea deal if Phyllis confessed. That suggestion only made Phyllis angrier. She flatly refused any confession and declared she would fight both Christine and Victor every step of the way. As officers escorted Phyllis out, Lauren encountered the group and immediately protested the arrest. She insisted the evidence had been falsified and urged Christine to reconsider. Christine remained firm and clarified that Lauren herself was not implicated because she joined the company after the alleged theft occurred. Lauren promised Phyllis she would contact Michael for help, though Phyllis bitterly doubted Michael would support her. Victor explodes after Michael chooses Phyllis. At Crimson Lights, Lauren pressured Michael into defending Phyllis despite his hesitation. Michael worried about damaging his relationship with Victor, but Lauren insisted Phyllis deserved proper representation. Eventually, Michael agreed. Later, Michael arrived at the Newman Ranch while Nick and Victor were discussing Matt, Clark, and Nikki. Victor welcomed Michael warmly at first, assuming business would continue as usual. Instead, Michael stunned Victor by announcing he would represent Phyllis in court. Victor immediately saw the decision as betrayal. Furious, he warned Michael that siding with Phyllis would permanently destroy their friendship and professional alliance. Michael defended his choice by explaining that everyone deserved fair legal representation and that following that principle was part of his moral code. Victor erupted in anger and ordered Michael to leave immediately, making it clear he was no longer welcome in the house. After Michael stormed out, Nick confronted Victor about using fake evidence against Phyllis. Although Nick understood Victor's desire to reclaim the company, he hated seeing the mother of his child arrested over falsified emails. Victor remained unapologetic and insisted Phyllis deserved exactly what was happening to her. The tension only deepened when Nikki entered the room. Nick attempted to encourage communication between his parents, but Victor deliberately ignored Nikki while she coldly stated she had nothing to say to him. Nikki then walked away, leaving Nick frustrated by both of their stubbornness. Victor finally admitted he believed Nikki no longer wanted reconciliation and suggested Nick accept that reality as well. Michael warns Phyllis about Christine's determination. By the end of the episode, Michael and Lauren had secured Phyllis's release on bail and returned with her to Summer's conglomerate. Although Lauren thanked Michael for stepping in, Phyllis still remained frustrated over his earlier reluctance to help. Michael urged her to focus less on personal grievances and more on building a solid defense strategy. He pointed out the enormous challenge ahead. They needed to prove Victor's evidence was fabricated without revealing that Phyllis had actually stolen the company in the first place. Michael also warned that Christine would not back down easily. While dropping the case might make things socially easier for Christine, Michael believed her dedication to her role as district attorney would outweigh personal relationships. He predicted that if the case reached trial, Christine would aggressively pursue a conviction and show absolutely no mercy. Next update. Billy's baby bombshell stuns Victoria as Jack and Kyle target Victor with Patty scheme. On Monday's episode of The Young and the Restless, shocking revelations and dangerous revenge plans sent tensions soaring across Genoa City. At the outdoor cafe, Nikki opened up to Claire about missing life at the ranch, though she admitted she was resisting the urge to return. Claire hated seeing her grandmother disconnected from Chancellor and wondered what might come next for her. Nikki explained that she had been considering new directions, including launching a substance abuse foundation in Catherine Chancellor's honor or even helping Noah with his projects. She then surprised Claire by suggesting she could potentially run Chancellor herself someday. Claire quickly brushed off the idea, feeling it was far outside her comfort zone. Their conversation caught Lily's attention as she passed nearby. Curious, Lily interrupted to ask whether Nikki was planning a comeback at Chancellor. Nikki shut the rumor down immediately and assured her that wasn't happening. Meanwhile, Victoria paid Billy a visit to warn him about the emails that had been discovered and handed over to the district attorney. Since Billy's name appeared in the messages, she wanted him prepared for possible fallout. Billy instantly dismissed the emails as fraudulent and accused Victor of once again setting him up. Furious, he questioned how Victoria could continue allowing her father to manipulate situations like this. Billy insisted he had done nothing wrong and warned that Victor would regret dragging him into another revenge plot. Their heated confrontation was interrupted when Sally walked in. Victoria's attention immediately shifted to the ring on Sally's finger. Shocked, she learned that Billy and Sally were engaged. Before she could fully process the engagement news, Billy delivered another major surprise: Sally was pregnant. The announcement visibly stunned Victoria. Although caught off guard, she congratulated them and admitted the news changed everything. Billy later revealed he planned to tell Johnny and Katie about the baby while driving them home from school. Elsewhere, Jack crossed paths with Patty at Crimson Lights and was clearly uncomfortable by the encounter. Patty immediately began criticizing Diane, claiming she had emotionally abandoned Jack. However, Jack was more interested in finding out why Patty was suddenly back in town and whether Victor was secretly pulling the strings behind the scenes. Patty denied working for Victor and flirtatiously reminded Jack about their past night together. Jack quickly pointed out that he had been drugged during that incident. Patty ignored his discomfort and continued trying to charm him just as Kyle arrived and interrupted the awkward interaction. Once Patty finally left, Kyle warned his father that getting involved with her again was incredibly risky. Jack admitted he intended to manipulate Patty as part of his ongoing war against Victor. Kyle feared the situation could spiral out of control, but Jack insisted he was desperate. After showering Diane with apologies, notes, and gifts, he still hadn't repaired their marriage. Since Victor was responsible for much of the chaos, Jack vowed to make him suffer if he couldn't save his relationship. Kyle encouraged Jack to focus on fixing things with Diane instead of chasing revenge. Still, Kyle also made it clear that he was prepared to take aim at Victor himself. At the athletic club, Diane confronted Victor and blasted him for taking pleasure in other people's pain. Victor barely reacted and smugly admitted he enjoyed winning too much to care about the damage left behind. Diane accused him of hurting everyone around him, including his own wife, but Victor simply brushed off her criticism. The tension escalated when Patty suddenly arrived. Pretending they hadn't seen each other in years, Patty and Victor put on a dramatic performance that immediately irritated Diane. Patty proudly claimed she had changed her life and was now devoted to love and healing. She casually mentioned spending time with Jack earlier, which only fueled Diane's anger. Diane insisted she was the woman Jack truly wanted and stormed away in frustration while Patty laughed alongside Victor. Victor clearly enjoyed watching Diane unravel and hinted that Patty's ability to keep Jack and Diane apart made her extremely valuable. Later, Patty privately thanked Victor for helping reconnect her with Jack. She promised she wasn't finished yet and intended to use Diane's growing resentment against her husband to create even more trouble. As they toasted to their alliance, Diane secretly watched from nearby. In Chancellor Park, Nikki later questioned Lily about the arrangement she had made with Victor. Lily avoided giving too many details and claimed they had only wanted to teach Kane a lesson before abruptly leaving the conversation. Back at home, Sally discussed the pregnancy with Billy and emphasized how important it was that Johnny and Katie feel included in the baby's life. Billy offered to tell the children together, though Sally didn't mind how the conversation happened. She admitted Victoria had looked completely blindsided by the news. Billy then explained Victor's AI-generated email scandal and confessed he still didn't know how badly the situation could affect him. Determined to protect himself, he promised to uncover exactly what Victor was planning. Meanwhile, Jack and Kyle continued discussing their strategy against Victor at Crimson Lights. Jack initially hesitated to involve Kyle further, but Kyle reminded him he was already deeply connected to the battle. Kyle even volunteered to lead the charge against Victor personally. Jack eventually agreed and pointed out that Victor would never expect an attack to come from Kyle. Together, they devised a ruthless new plan. Since Victor appeared distracted, they decided to target the one thing he valued more than Newman Enterprises, his marriage to Nikki. Jack chillingly declared that Patty could be the key to destroying any hope of Nikki ever returning to Victor. Next update. Young and the Restless 2-week spoilers. Billy spirals while Michael prepares a ruthless counterattack. The next 2 weeks on The Young and the Restless promise explosive confrontations, shocking arrests, and growing danger for several Genoa City residents. From May 4 through May 15, 2026, Billy Abbott finds himself panicking as Victor Newman's latest scheme threatens to destroy everything he's built, while Michael Baldwin scrambles to fight back against the powerful Newman family. Monday, May 4, Patty pushes boundaries with Jack. Patty Williams catches Jack Abbott off guard when she openly flirts with him after claiming Diane Jenkins Abbott has left him for good. Patty even encourages Jack to ditch his wedding ring and focus on enjoying himself with her instead. While putting her hands all over him and turning on the charm, Patty insists she's interested in reconnecting. Jack, however, quickly questions Patty about whether Victor Newman has been paying her. Patty denies everything and continues acting innocent. The awkward situation becomes even worse when Kyle Abbott walks in and sees Patty getting far too close to his father. Disgusted by the scene, Kyle watches as Patty finally backs away. Afterward, Jack admits to Kyle that he believes Patty could actually be useful against Victor. Kyle worries involving Patty will only deepen Diane's anger and create more problems. Jack confesses that Diane refuses to speak with him, making him feel as though he's practically stalking her. He becomes determined to use Patty as part of a plan to drive a wedge between Victor and Nikki Newman. Kyle then suggests he should be the one to catch Victor off guard, and Jack agrees. Diane battles Victor. Elsewhere, Diane and Victor engage in another heated confrontation. Diane calls Victor cold-hearted and taunts him over Nikki walking away from him. She accuses Victor of caring about nothing except destroying Jack's life and hopes he eventually loses everything. Victor remains completely unfazed and admits he doesn't care who gets hurt along the way. Patty soon joins the conversation, pretending she hasn't seen Victor in quite some time, though Diane clearly doesn't believe the act. Before leaving, Patty boasts to Diane that she's getting closer to Jack. Diane fires back with insults, prompting Patty to walk away. Once Diane is gone, Victor tells Patty he approves of the chaos she's creating, and Patty thanks him for giving her the opportunity. Victoria delivers bad news to Billy. Victoria Newman warns Billy Abbott that authorities may soon arrest him after suspicious email evidence was discovered on the Chancellor's servers. Billy immediately suspects Victor fabricated the evidence, though Victoria denies it. Billy angrily asks whether Victoria will really stand by while Victor destroys him. Victoria reminds Billy that he played a role in stealing the Newman legacy. Furious, Billy promises revenge if Victor follows through with the setup. Things become even more complicated when Sally Spectra interrupts the argument, leading Victoria to discover that Billy and Sally are engaged and expecting a baby. Although Victoria congratulates them, she appears uncomfortable about the consequences of Victor's plan. Billy later warns Sally that he, Phyllis Summers, and Kane Ashby could all be headed for serious trouble. Meanwhile, Claire asks Nikki about Chancellor. Nikki insists she has no intention of returning to the company and suggests Claire should take over instead. Nikki also considers launching a charity or possibly working with Noah Newman at his Genoa City club. Lily Winters overhears the conversation and questions Nikki about Chancellor. Nikki responds by bringing up Lily's fake kidnapping arrangement involving Victor. Lily dodges the subject, lies about the situation, and quickly leaves. Tuesday, May 5, Victor and Nikki refuse to reconcile. Victor and Nikki share a moment that almost leads to reconciliation, but both refuse to give in. Their stubbornness keeps them apart while Victor continues causing damage throughout Genoa City. Christine Williams Romalotti corners Phyllis and pressures her with threats related to the ongoing investigation. At the same time, Matt Clark appears exhausted and disoriented at a diner. He asks a waitress how far he is from the Genoa City Athletic Club because he's heading back to town. Sharon Newman also digs into Sienna Bacall's past, particularly regarding Matt. Sharon refuses to believe Matt is truly dead since no body has ever been found. Sienna insists she never knew Matt's true nature and thought she had simply married an unfaithful nightclub owner. Wednesday, May 6th, panic builds. Phyllis and Michael Baldwin meet with Billy at the Summers conglomerate office to figure out a strategy. With arrests seemingly imminent, Billy becomes increasingly frantic over what may happen next. Elsewhere, Lily's effort to help Malcolm Winters fails, forcing Claire to take bold action on Holden Novak's behalf. Claire may step forward as a potential bone marrow donor after learning Kane has been arrested, or she could challenge Victor directly over his recent actions. Thursday, May 7th, Matt returns to Genoa City. Matt Clark officially arrives in Genoa City and wastes no time heading to the GCAC bar. Looking angry and dangerous, Matt ends up sitting across from Kane Ashby shortly before everything falls apart. Christine then arrives with officers prepared to make arrests based on the AI-generated evidence tied to Victor's scheme. Kane is arrested right in front of Lily, leaving her devastated. Since Kane was supposed to donate bone marrow to Malcolm, Lily fears Malcolm's condition could worsen while Kane sits behind bars. Kane tries reassuring Lily that Amanda Sinclair will secure his release quickly enough for him to travel to New York and fulfill his promise to Malcolm. After Kane is taken away, Nate Hastings comforts an emotional Lily at the GCAC. Lily becomes terrified that Malcolm's life may now be in danger because of Victor's actions. Meanwhile, Nick Newman's recent behavior raises concerns for Phyllis. Rumors surrounding Nick's opioid abuse and overdose in Las Vegas continue spreading, and it appears his addiction storyline is far from over. The struggle is expected to continue throughout May sweeps. Friday, May 8th, Secrets and Suspicion. Nick reveals an important secret to Victoria on Friday. The revelation may involve his growing pill problem or another hidden issue entirely. At the same time, Chelsea Lawson questions Adam Newman about Risa Thompson. Chelsea wants answers about Adam's connection to Risa, especially after their recent flirtation. Adam must decide whether to confess the truth or continue hiding what happened. Lauren Fenmore also issues a warning to Phyllis, fearing that Phyllis could face major legal consequences if she refuses to cooperate with Victor. Possible broadcast interruptions. Viewers on the West Coast should note that the soap may be preempted on May 5th and May 6th because of soccer coverage. East Coast viewers are less likely to experience interruptions. If episodes don't air locally, fans can check Paramount Plus or their on-demand provider. Spoilers for May 11th to 15th, trouble explodes across Genoa City. The following week brings even more chaos as Nick continues struggling with addiction issues after recently overdosing on fentanyl and cocaine. A few recovery meetings won't magically solve his problems, and his downward spiral appears far from finished. Chelsea and Adam sit down for a serious conversation about where their relationship is heading, especially with the growing complications involving Risa. Meanwhile, Matt prepares for revenge. Since the Newmans wrongly believed Sienna had killed him, they have no idea he's coming after them. The biggest question becomes who Matt will target first, Sienna for attacking him or someone else from his growing enemy list. Phyllis and Billy both face serious legal danger, and prison time becomes a real possibility. Kane also works desperately to keep his promise to Lily despite the obstacles standing in his way. Elsewhere, Sienna becomes irritated when Audra Charles starts flirting with Noah Newman. Amanda Sinclair may also uncover evidence proving Victor engaged in criminal behavior, which could finally give his enemies leverage against him. Victoria struggles with guilt over helping Victor target Billy, especially since Billy is the father of 2 of her children. As more people learn the Newman family schemes may have endangered Malcolm's life, backlash begins growing throughout Genoa City. Nate may become especially furious with Victoria over her role in the situation, though Victor likely won't care about anyone's outrage. At the same time, Patty intensifies her pursuit of Jack, while Lily grows increasingly terrified that Malcolm may not survive the mounting crisis. Next update. Matt's memory crisis rocks Genoa City as Victor cuts ties with Michael. Tuesday's episode of The Young and the Restless delivered major drama as Matt Clark's shocking memory loss storyline took center stage, while Victor Newman turned against Michael Baldwin over his latest legal move. At Summers' conglomerate, Phyllis Summers found herself blindsided when Christine Blair Romalotti arrived with a police officer. The officer officially read Phyllis her rights before arresting her, leaving Phyllis furious over the humiliating public scene. She insisted the accusations were built on fake evidence and warned Christine that the district attorney's office would look foolish once the truth came out. As Phyllis was escorted away, Lauren Fenmore Baldwin arrived and immediately promised to contact Michael Baldwin for help. However, Phyllis doubted Michael would step in, believing he had already chosen sides against her. Despite Phyllis's skepticism, Lauren later met Michael at Crimson Lights and urged him to defend Phyllis legally. Michael ultimately agreed, setting the stage for major fallout with Victor Newman. Back at the Newman Ranch, Michael informed Victor that he would now be representing Phyllis. Victor viewed the decision as outright betrayal and wasted no time throwing Michael out. The confrontation made it clear that Victor had no intention of forgiving Michael for siding with someone outside the Newman circle. After securing Phyllis's release on bail, Michael reunited with her and Lauren at Summers' conglomerate. The trio discussed the dangerous direction of the case, especially since Christine appeared determined to take Phyllis down if the matter reached court. Meanwhile, Nick Newman had a heartfelt conversation with Nikki Newman at Society. Nick revealed that Sienna Bacall claimed she killed Matt Clark, but he admitted he still couldn't relax without solid proof that Matt was truly dead. Nick also confessed something deeply personal about his recent struggles. After running out of prescribed pain medication, he began misusing opioids and eventually spiraled into dangerous territory. Nick explained that Adam Newman even noticed the problem while they were in Las Vegas. He also admitted Matt had supplied him with a contaminated batch of drugs. Nikki was horrified to learn how close Nick came to dying, but Nick reassured her that Sharon Newman had encouraged him to seek professional treatment. He promised he was fully committed to recovery and getting his life back on track. Nick also hoped he could help repair the growing divide between Nikki and Victor, but Nikki didn't believe it was Nick's responsibility. In fact, she doubted their marriage could even be saved this time around. Later, tensions remained high when Nikki returned to the ranch to ride her horse. Nick tried to encourage his parents to communicate, but both Victor and Nikki refused to discuss fixing their relationship. Elsewhere, Sharon and Noah Newman continued helping Sienna piece together the night Matt disappeared. At the cottage, Noah told Sharon that Sienna had started remembering more details about the terrifying encounter. Sienna recalled Matt chasing her through the desert before pinning her to the ground. Desperate to escape, she grabbed a nearby rock and struck Matt in the head. When Matt continued moving, Sienna hit him repeatedly until he finally stopped. After checking for a pulse and finding none, she believed he had died. Still, Sharon wasn't entirely convinced Matt was actually dead. She asked Sienna to remember anything specific about the location so Victor's security team could investigate. Although Sienna struggled to recall exact details, she eventually remembered seeing what looked like a nearby water park. Sharon and Noah considered that an important clue that could help narrow down the search area. The possibility that Matt might still be alive sent Sienna into a panic, but Sharon and Noah tried to calm her fears and reassure her. In the episode's final scenes, viewers discovered Matt alive but badly injured at a roadside diner. With a noticeable head wound, Matt emptied his pockets and found a Genoa City Athletic Club keycard. After asking a waitress how far away Genoa City was, he realized he was far from Wisconsin and completely lost. Confused and unable to remember his identity, Matt admitted he needed to figure out what had happened to him and who he really was. The episode ended with Matt preparing for answers, while upcoming spoilers tease that his return to Genoa City later this week will ignite even more chaos. For more of the latest updates and behind-the-scenes secrets from Young and the Restless, make sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell. Stay in the know with every new release.